Hi everyone, it's Jolynn and I'm here to talk to you about my show and tell for Breakout EDU. To get to Breakout EDU, you go to www.breakoutedu.com. And Breakout EDU calls itself an immersive learning games platform. Basically, Breakout EDU is answering a need for resources because the idea of an escape room or an escape box or escape bags is something that's very popular with teachers who are trying to integrate STEM into their classrooms in 2018. And there are companies that will create these different things for you, and they will sell you the boxes or the bags and the locks and whatnot that you need, and in hopes that they will, make a profit off of that and a profit off of their things that they provide with it. So on the first page, you see they offer you a chance to learn more, to purchase, and to log in. And if you click on Learn More, I found it to be very helpful. It says Get Started with Breakout EDU, and then there's across the bar lots of different information about it. It calls Breakout EDU an immersive learning games platform, and they basically want you to buy their kits, but there are many things that are free on this site. Turn your classroom into an academically focused escape room and facilitate games where players use teamwork and critical thinking to solve a series of challenging puzzles in order to open the locked box. And the games are available for all ages and content areas. It has Breakout EDU has created their own products, but they also allow teachers to create their products, which I'm going to show one of those to you today. And those are uploaded and they are free for people to use. So as you scroll down, it tells you how it works. They want you to purchase a Breakout EDU kit. Now, I did not do that because I had some escape bags that our district had already bought with some locks and some of the other things that I'll show you here in a minute. But the Breakout EDU bags usually, the Breakout EDU kits go directly with their breakouts. So it's kind of nice to have exactly what they have, but it's not completely necessary. Then you find a game on the platform, you set up the game, and you facilitate the game. And the games are meant to take 45 minutes. And when they say, I did look at Breakout EDU in action, and I encourage you, if you're interested in it, these are very short videos that show just Breakout EDU in different settings. And then I was like, okay, how much are we dealing with? So I went to Breakout EDU kit. The kit itself is $150. So it says it includes everything that you need to play over 500 games created for the classroom environment. It includes 12 months of access to the Breakout EDU platform. So all of the platform stuff that's up on there, you have access to. Each subject pack comes with Breakout EDU kit games developed for a wide variety of curriculums. But basically in the Breakout EDU kit, what you're dealing with is a couple of boxes, an invisible ink pen, a blue light or black light, to see the invisible ink pen, a red screen that you can put over if you create some letters that just allow you to see the red, several different locks, multiple lock holes, if you will. There's a different name for that, but we'll get to that in a little bit. And then these cards that you can create that have reflection questions on them, and they always suggest the reflection questions. So when I go back to the original Breakout EDU spot, hold on a second. Okay, now I'm really at the original Breakout EDU spot. If you go to login, the login is super simple because I just use my Google and boom, I'm in it. I did have to do a little bit of a login information type of thing, but I honestly don't remember what they asked me. you can either obtain a platform access code, which means your district would have to have it or you would have to buy it. There are things from $150 all the way through like $800 if you want multiple kits. Or you can browse the platform. So I chose browse the platform. And you'll notice here are all their different subject packs, and they tell you how many there are. And then there are also digital games, and they tell you what's there. So I went to elementary games because I was really interested in the elementary games, and I just browsed through there a little bit, and then it will tell you, okay, what subjects are you looking for? I was like, well, elementary math, I'm pretty savvy in that. And then you'll see what's free, and when it says subject pack, that means it's not free. So, of course, I went to the free, and I found Brenda's Bakery Bonanza. When you click on it, excuse me, it tells you who the game designers are, your content, the ideal group size, your suggested time, and your recommended age. And honestly, I would go a little bit more specific with recommended ages, because with this one I would do 4th or 5th grade. I don't know if I go any lower because it was a little bit challenging on the fractions end. So they give you these drop downs. You hit the plus and it tells you what the story is that you'll be dealing with. It tells you the lock combinations. It gives you setup instructions, like a list of the setup instructions. But then what I found very helpful is it also gives you a video that tells you how to set it up from the people who made it. And sometimes that can be great, and sometimes it's super confusing. So then you go down to Access Game Resources. When you do that, it opens up a Google Drive account, or a Google Drive folder, really. It's my account. But, they have, if you make your own game, they have a game template where you are supposed to give people the idea behind. It's basically just quickly you can print out all the important information about your game, and then what standards it's aligned to, and any digital link files, and a YouTube video if they want to link to that. And just they give you a sheet that lets you talk about using their products in order to let the person know exactly what they're supposed to be doing. And then also, excuse me, there's a PowerPoint. I guess it doesn't have to be a PowerPoint. It can be whatever you want to put in here that relates to your game. I honestly am not sure a PowerPoint is necessary. It can be several different pages. But for this one in particular, it shows which lock you're dealing with, what the codes are across. So it's a table of important information. And then it gives you what you can use to start Brenda's Bakery Bonanza. And I just like saying it like that. And the different things that you will need that I will show you. I printed all these out and I cut all them out and I, put them into the bags, etc., just to make sure that everything would work out. So giving you a little idea, let me show you some pictures, if you don't mind, of some of the things I did. First of all, I was using their Smart Path Education bags. They're basically bank bags. If you've ever worked at a job where you had to take money to the bank, this is the same thing. Inside these bags, which our district bought several of them from my school, there is a 3-digit number lock. There's a padlock with keys. There's a 4-digit number lock, and there's a lock that is for, like, you can create a 4-letter word to open the lock. And then there are basically black lights, little tiny ones, invisible ink pens. There's the red see-through objects again. And most of this is what Breakout EDU has, except for the fact that they have a directional lock that the kids can put in a series of directions. So if I had more time, I would look into changing that one to something that I could use. So as I'm going through the pictures, I had to make a lot of different accommodations, but the students would first start off with the big bag. Let me find the picture of that. Here's the big bag. This is how they would start. And then I had the equivalent fractions activity as the one that they would start with. And with the big bag, it only had room enough to unlock with one of the locks. So I had to make a choice, and I made it the letters. Now, the Breakout EDU lock has one additional letter, and so I really had to cope with that. So they would start off with this. Now this is, I changed this to an S because I couldn't make bake, which kind of bummed me out. But there's two extras in here, and then obviously the R would end up, maybe I would just take that out completely because they match each other. Now the one criticism I will say of the people who made this, I have no, like they put these little donuts here so that the kids might know what order these go in so they can spell bake or base, but I would take those out because they were super confusing because I was looking at a half, because imagine these are all mixed up, and I was looking at a half and I'm like, what in the world? 4? So do they want a half of 4? Is that a dozen? Is that, I don't know what that is. So there was some confusion in this 48-year-old's brain. So that's just a suggestion that I have. So you really do have to go through all of these to make sure that they really make sense. So base would be the thing that I would have there. Once they open up that part of the bag, then this is inside. So the smaller bag's inside with the 4-number lock on it, but there's also the egg activity, which is this one. And they have a bunch of different scenarios where they have to, like it says in the first one, Priscilla's brownie recipe calls for 1/4 of a dozen eggs. Aaron's brownie recipe calls for 1/2 a dozen eggs. How many eggs are needed to make both batches of brownies? And then they combine that, and then each of these numbers, as they put them in order, there's an A, B, C, and D on the pictures that you can't see. But if they put that in order, then these are the numbers that will open the combination. So pretty cool, I thought, doing it that way. Once they get into the little bag, then they have, I had to skip a couple of the activities because I just couldn't do it with what I had. But this one's kind of cool in that they have the different, oh, let me show you the non-answer first. They have donut holes, and they have to fill in the donuts to make them complete, putting them on the donuts from greatest to least. And when they're done, it looks like this, but then they have to flip each of them over, and in invisible ink it says, like, beneath the trash can, I think that one says. So that would be where your padlock would be. Oops, I'll show you what that is in a sec. And then they would go, and wherever the padlock is, or they find the key, excuse me, to the padlock, and they'd open up the padlock, and then this would be inside whatever you have. I did not have another bag. So that was kind of, you know, I would have to think that one out. And I got to tell you, there was a lot of preparation to all of this, and a lot of me going, do I know how to do this? For example, my husband and I like stared at this one for a while because they're supposed to match the picture to the scenario. And quite frankly, this scenario and this picture, oh my goodness, that messed us up. I was like, how does that work out? And then there were 2 extra ones. I am not a math idiot. I'm a math enthusiast. So I'm thinking, if I, at my age, having the math background I have, I'm looking at this going, what? And then again, extra images. These images do not really relate to the answers. So I would have to do a little bit of editing, which I'm up for, but because this is a teacher-made thing, you would have to be a little bit more careful with that. But that one was available, but I did not have a chance to use it. And then what would happen is, that was for the 3-digit one. And so you would put them in order and then write the answer to, or excuse me, yeah, you personally would write in invisible ink the answer, or on the answers in order, in the code's order, and then they would try it out. So, all right, and then there was another one I was really bummed I could not use, and that was the directional one, because this is a great activity. So I would definitely try to find a way to incorporate this in a different way. But with the directional one, basically they're looking at attribute blocks, which is a fantastic concrete content piece of material, and they would choose whatever the fraction was. And for example, this one was 1/8, and so whichever direction the cupcake was going, that was the first part of the direction in the directional lock. So there was an arrow pointing to the left. That would be their first part of the combination. And then they'd have to make sure they were ordering it from least to greatest, and that, you know, that can be a little bit challenging. But I liked the scenarios. I have to tell you, the time consumption of putting this together when it was somebody else's idea was pretty intensive. And then it came with, like I said, reflection questions. How did you contribute to your team? What did you learn about fractions this breakout? Did you learn anything new? I think they meant with fractions. How did your team work together? Was anything too hard for you or your team? So the idea would be each person in the group would get one question, and you'd answer that one question. And then they have a facilitation tool that is basically a timer that you would put up on your whiteboard, I suppose, or your projection device. And it has the introductory presentation, which basically talks you as the teacher through the different things that you should do. So it talks about what it is, talks about how to play, and I guess this would be if the kids had never done it before, tips for success. There are hints that you can give them, and then you set the scene, and there's debriefing at the end. That's what they call that. And they encourage an end of game photo, which, you know, you either broke out or maybe you didn't break out, but you were so close and things like that. And that is there, but they have a timer. They have a way that, you know, music can play. You can talk about how many hints you want. You can give them more, you can give them none. And signs. This is their sign slideshow, so you can print out all the different signs that they can have at the end. So that was the actual physical part of it. Navigating to the platform up here, as you look at the digital games, and let's say we want to do zombie outbreak. If I wanted to start the game, a strange genetic mutation has led to a zombie outbreak. You are the leading scientist on gene editing and are the world's last hope. So you can make that bigger for breaking news. And you feared this day would come. And it has, but instead of sitting in your apartment and waiting to be bitten, you are heading to your lab to work on a cure. To deliver it, you will need to find out where the outbreak started. So as you open a new window, the children have to, like, at first, they're like, I don't know what the code is, but they have to determine what the Morse code letters are for this one, and then, which is pretty cool actually, and then they would put those letters into here, select a combination, click next, and if they don't get it, nope, that's not it, try again. So you can actually send this out to them too, which I think has a lot of potential. So as I go to the store, again, I showed you the Breakout EDU kit. There's a classroom bundle, 2 full kits and a platform code for $275. And then there's a school bundle, 8 kits, 6 access codes for 12 months, $800. And again, I have to say that that cost is prohibitive, considering that teachers could make these themselves. But when I went to put together my own, I'll go ahead and close that out and find the pictures again. It took a long time for me to cut all this stuff out, and that was just for one bag. So if I have 5 kids on a bag, I could need up to 6 bags in a classroom. Now, granted, it's a once and done, you know, and there were some things I did not use, and I did not figure that out until after the fact. But all in all, I would say, as far as trying to get children to, you know, I'm thinking of the ISTE standards, and to get them to work together, you would have to talk with them about that, the expectations of what that means. You would have to monitor that. You would need to make sure they know the content fairly well, and make sure you don't have those kiddos that are just kicking back and letting other people solve the different problems, and vice versa, that you don't have somebody who knows how to do everything and just bulldozes everyone. So it's you know, cooperating group struggles that you would have with anything else, but this is them using their strategies to their STEM strategies to try to come up with answers to different questions. So this is good because now I can I'll have a few days before my students actually have their one-to-one laptops at the beginning of the year, where I will have them. And yes, I was going to do, you know, classroom, just generic classroom discussions and things like that, but I think one of the class periods being an escape bag type of thing would probably be a lot of fun. Now I have 6th graders and 7th graders and 8th graders, so I would need for that to be a lot of bags and a lot of prep. And I would have to determine, you know, the argument that came up in the meeting was that the STEM specialist, she didn't think it should just be generic breakouts. She felt it needed to be specific to the content to help the kids out, and she has amazing ideas for different things that she does with her science classes. So me being a person that came from the elementaries and from the classroom to a specialist position, I hear her, and I want to be able to layer on content and help them out. So that'll be some things that I need to do as well. I need to really dig into what the middle level content has changed to be since I've been out of middle level, and then go from there. So I thank you for watching this, and I hope the concept of escape boxes, escape bags, breakout boxes, whatever, has triggered your thoughts, and maybe you have used them too. I'd love to hear your comments as I prepare how I want to use them in my IT classroom. So thank you so much, and have a great week.